Take two.
On the bright side, do I still sound really loud to you
I've been
guys?
out of my cage and I've been.
No.
But I still hear everybody over my
You're
headphones.
normally
But
usually
last time
louder
so
than
loud.
most everybody else.
Yeah, I'm just making sure it's not super loud.
No, it's not like uncomfortably loud, but
It makes me uncomfortable.
Or does it make you more comfortable?
Uncomfortable, definitely.
Oh.
I'm molding around a bit.
Ew.
With the old mortar and pestle.
All right, well, I guess we'll try it again.
are we recording now?
We're live.
I'm not a dancing monkey.
Welcome to the Iron Palace Podcast.
We'll cut them together.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Iron Palace Podcast, the world's most anabolic podcast that turns caffeine into conversation and dumbbells into deep thoughts.
I like the old intro. Welcome to the world's most anabolic podcast. Are we recording?
Well, I saw Mike over there clicking around a bunch of stuff. I was like, something is awry.
He's gonna let it go smooth.
I didn't touch anything.
Are we recording? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like from the whole time?
It says stop recording now.
I hit recording. It says stop.
Yeah.
Are we recording now? Technically, yes.
As of, it says 5 seconds ago.
As of your question, yes.
Will you have video of this episode? We'll find out.
Hey,
Survey
I've gotten better
says-
at that.
My favorite was nailed the intro the first time with timing it right after Dave says something. Second try, not so much.
In the business, we call it a good old
You got
fashioned
two
bed
of them to go
shitting.
for.
That's 3. You said 3.
2.
Okay.
I don't even want to do this anymore.
I'm out of the mood.
Yeah. I am creatively dehydrated.
Well, as they say in Scotland, tough titties. And here's what's her. So I have this idea to replace our icebreaker because I think it'll be funny. I hope it'll be funny. We're going to play a game where Dave has to close his eyes and guess which smelling salts Holland gives him.
I think I can do that pretty easy.
Maybe easy, but it's also going to be funny, I think. Holland, you pick it. No, you don't hand them to him.
Oh, hey.
Holland's got to hold them.
That's getting a little risky.
Hey.
Hey, Holland, hold him.
That's Patreon only.
All right, so we've got 3 different ones, and you've got to correctly guess which one's
three.
which.
What 3 do we
Okay,
have?
here are the 3.
Okay.
There are 3 you've
I'm
had.
pretty
They're
confident,
not new ones. You've had these before.
Depending on the order, I think I'm pretty confident.
Only would be better if you had your other ones with the other zone with you, but
You don't have like a tie or something.
I have them.
Oh, I don't want to untie
ooh,
that.
go get them.
Want me to go get them?
Yep.
Okay.
Find a blind. Well, now I won't because there's 3 zones. All right.
So now you got to tell him the name so he knows what names to pick for the zones.
Okay. So the white zone is Frost.
Microphone.
Sorry. White zone is Frost. The green one is Ion.
The one you should be the most familiar with.
And this is the Bear Down.
Okay, I'll probably guess by color.
That's
okay,
fine.
black,
I don't
green,
see
and
color,
white.
but my heart will know.
Yeah.
I got a very hateful heart.
And for the Cerberus, you can just call it Cerberus. All right, and I will write down your answers so we will see which one is correct.
All right, you ready?
I feel like that episode of Home Improvement where Al Borland names that wood. Remember, when Tim puts a sock on one of them.
Name that salt.
It's instead of icebreaker, it's a salt breaker.
All right,
It's the salt lick.
we ready to start?
Yep.
It smells like sweaty balls. All right. I want to say that's is that? I'm gonna say Frost. I'm gonna guess Frost.
Final answer?
Yeah. It might have had some like a mentholy. I don't feel confident about that one though. Is it Cheerios?
Fruit Loops. Close, though.
Clusters? That's Cerberus. Not a sponsor. Give me another tug of that.
You're going to get some more.
I don't like the way that sounded while I can't see.
That's that one, the same one again.
Oh, yeah. That's the good shit. I mean, not a sponsor. That's Cerberus. It's not as good as them.
All right, so number 3.
Name that wood. Oh, no, that's Cerberus. That's way more cinnamony. Does one of those have cinnamon in them? One of them's got mint. One of them's got cinnamon. Damn it. I can't guess Cerberus again, can I? Well, yeah, put me down for Cerberus. Well, so one of them's wrong.
All right, so
That's Cerberus.
last one.
Okay. It's anything but Cerberus. That's Ion.
All right, that's it. So are you comfortable with your answers?
Absolutely not.
All right, so number one.
Hindsight, comparatively, I know that. Go ahead.
All right, so for each one you get wrong, you've got to smell it, but like real close.
I just smelled a couple of them really good. Like the one I was like, you know, tug of that. I got a good tug the second time. I got a old fashioned off of that one.
All right, so do you want to know how many you got right first, or just go down the list?
Yeah, tell me how many I got right first. Like 1, 2.
2.
Yeah.
You got 2 correct.
Yeah. The first time I guessed Cerberus was Frost, wasn't it?
That is correct. Yeah. So the first one you guessed Frost, and it was actually
Bear down.
the Bear Down, the black one.
I have very little experience with the Bear Down.
That's the one that
Does
put
it have anything in it?
That's the one that put you on the ground the first
Does it
time.
have anything in it?
Yeah.
Because it smelled like it had something besides salt in it. That's what was throwing me off.
I actually don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't remember.
The Frost has mint in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was Cerberus the first time. This one, though, I wanted to say Frost because it smelled like it had something else besides just the...
I think I've only used that one like
It
a
might be
couple of
it's
times.
stronger than the Ion still.
But you were right about the Cerberus. It's the one that's got cinnamon in it.
Yeah. This might be because it's stronger than the Ion that I thought there's a little something extra in there.
Yep.
It's strong. Yeah.
Yeah, just now it smells totally different. Oh, no. That burned my eye.
All right. So the first one, yeah, you got it wrong. The second one, you guessed Cerberus, and you've already said it was Frost.
Yeah.
Then after that, yeah, I knew you'd know Cerberus,
Yeah.
and I knew you'd know Ion.
That's why I was like, if I could smell them all and then guess, I could probably deduce it. But one after the other.
I think something can be said though that the ones that we have deemed as the strongest, you thought were the Frost.
Yeah.
Just saying. So I think our previous statements of
Yeah. Do that off camera, Holland.
Got a little too aggressive with that one.
I'll say.
Dude.
Oh. Yeah.
I powder my underwear with these.
Hey, Holland, give me the Frost.
Please.
Please.
Hateful.
That's how it feels to chew 5 gum right there, gentlemen.
Also not a sponsor.
Could be.
Could be.
5 gun.
What happened over there? Dude, someone just like hit Control Alt Delete on Mike for a second.
A little too close.
This reminds me of when the medicine man drugged me around with my headband.
I was just trying to think of what movie this makes me think of.
They drew first blood, now me.
That was a pretty good flow.
Not bad.
That wasn't bad.
It'd be The Hangover. It was if the tie was sideways.
Whoa.
This is a family program.
Whatever.
I know seeing y'all next to each other makes me think of did you ever watch that movie 3 Ninjas?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why, but you in the backwards hat and then you in the headband makes me think of 3 Ninjas.
Well, we are some ninjas.
Holland is that ninja, actually.
I don't know. All right, so
Let's mix them all. In a
there we
little
go.
Container.
Do like a little, like how they make martinis in movies, just one of them numbers.
Got a container?
I'm afraid it would explode.
Only way to find out. We're on the cutting
Honestly,
edge.
yeah. Like I don't know how to make a bomb, but I feel like that's a key ingredient over there.
Get a container and put a little bit.
Yeah,
of every
I was
one.
afraid to.
Anyways, you tossed me one. I just realized I haven't used any of them sitting over here. I'm so far. God almighty. What is it about that chair that people just want to throw
We've all
things
got
at me?
one and tossed it at the same time. Whichever one he caught was the winner.
Yeah.
God, man.
Those are good. Those are real good.
Now these legitimately look like clumps from my litter box in here.
Yeah, they look rough.
I wish we would have got the yellow lid ones.
I don't. For what? And I know I'm
Those
ready
to throw colors around, don't he?
Like, it concerns me though. Okay. it was crooked. I was like, dog, this ain't closing. Like, that's a problem.
It's trying to escape.
No. Top safety in the league, boys. Ain't nothing getting past here.
I don't know, dude. I bet Nico of that UCLA offense can walk right by you.
He would overthrow the both of us.
Did you see his brother? Went to
Yeah. What a bunch of losers. That was like cucks. They're collegiate
Well,
cucks.
did you see? They're actually the SEC is filing a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Because
Arkansas is.
for a breach of their NIL deals, because his brother just signed an NIL deal for Arkansas, didn't even make the first game or practice yet, and has already been like, nah, peace, I enter the transfer portal back to UCLA.
Yeah.
And then Nico, we already know that whole story. However, that being said, though, somehow we have done the closest thing to a trade in the NCAA, which is we got UCLA's quarterback.
Yeah.
And Nico went there. Yep.
All I know is the Titans draft the future this Thursday. That's all I care about right now. I'm focused on
I heard a super weird thing today, and that I completely disagreed with, is that I don't know what the source was, but apparently Jalen Milroe is considered to be a first-round draft pick.
Titans have first round. They're getting word from Miami. It's pretty done deal apparently, but they're pretty set on it.
I didn't know they had first pick this year.
Yep,
That's
round,
dope.
first pick. Yeah, so the future starts Thursday, boys. And we fired that GM, we fired him. The problem was not Mike Vrabel.
I've
They
been
got
saying
rid
that
of
the
AJ
whole
Brown.
time.
Then they fired Mike Vrabel, and now we've changed management. Another time? Head coach twice now or once? Once. Anyway, we're just getting worse. Like, we got to stop the freaking flood. We were turning the corner with Vrabel. We're like, we're not a middling franchise anymore. And they said, I'll fix that.
And that they shall.
Yeah. We just got to be decent before the stadium's done. I think the year after next is supposed to be completed. Can't be playing in that new stadium. Look like shit.
Where's the new stadium going?
Right behind the old one. So they're building it right behind the old one. They're going to tear the old one down and turn it into a parking lot for the new one. It's going to be a dome with a complete glass ceiling.
Jeez.
Yeah.
What
it's
could
gonna
go
have the
wrong?
World's largest rooftop bar, too, apparently. On the edge. Yeah. They're going to host the Super Bowl when it opens, too. It'd be awesome to have a home game for the Super Bowl like the Rams did.
Yeah.
What?
That'd be dope.
And they're going to host WrestleMania, too, so podcast trip.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dave's buying.
Well, WrestleMania is 2 nights now, so, I mean, more chances to get tickets. You get 2 shots at it.
Yeah.
That's more than I had to begin with.
Yeah. Big
Like
facts.
double the shots, actually.
Double the bag of shots.
Oh.
Got him.
Any who's or what's sir.
I'm all fired up on salts, boys.
Yeah.
So on a different topic, I'm not going to say have y'all because I already know Dave has not. But have you heard about the controversy with Mitch Hooper and World's Strongest Man?
Bold of you to assume because actually I've heard nothing about this.
Yeah. It's what I thought.
I was like, oh, do tell.
I was about to say there's zero chance that you've heard about it and Holland doesn't.
I've been focused on my papacy run.
Anyways,
I've
have you?
been watching some
Attraction.
stuff, but I hadn't heard anything about that.
Has there been a pope from America before?
Not a real one.
What?
I'm
What do you
just
mean
saying.
not a real one?
I don't want to get political.
Yeah, you're right. Let's move on. Anyway, so have you heard about it?
Back to Mitch Hooper.
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm not familiar with like the details of what Mitch said.
So really,
So no, for
okay.
both of us.
So all it's been is Mitch Hooper has been a big advocate for athletes not being treated fairly is not the correct word, but just that the opportunities that the athletes that compete at World's Strongest Man have not been accommodated the way that they probably should be, considering you're competing on the largest stage in strongman.
Yeah.
So what he had pointed out was, even though the athlete is paid for their trip there, their families are not paid to be there. There's nowhere for their families to go. So now they're having to pay their families, flight and tickets there. They're having to buy the tickets for their families to be there and different stuff like that. But then there's also the low ranking people that, it's probably their first time competing at World's Strongest Man and stuff like that. to get there, they've had to do all this other stuff. So it's time off work, money spent for travel, and then they get there and they're having to pay for their families to be there. It's probably their first time competing on the big stage. So he was advocating for their families to have places to go, for free tickets for their families. He caught some flack, but a large portion of it, though, was actually support, saying that he's correct. And he had even said that his two businesses that he runs, being his coaching and his clothing brand, he was going to take money from those to put into the fund for it. It wasn't a fund that he's wanting people to donate to. It's, if you buy my stuff, the portion of this is going into this fund to pay for their family's tickets. Mm-hmm. And then he said for a short time, he will match dollar for dollar out of his own pocket towards that. And so far, he's doing exactly that. But after all that came out, and then one of his other complaints was that, we're a month out and none of the athletes knew events.
Across America, countless people can't access the health care they desperately need. At Remote Area Medical, we believe everyone deserves quality care. That's why we offer free dental, vision, and medical services at mobile pop-up clinics nationwide. Just compassionate care from volunteer professionals. Your tax-deductible donation makes these clinics possible, changing lives and creating healthier communities. Join us today in bringing essential health care to those in need at ramusa.org.
Really?
Nobody knew the events until I think they finally did come out, but I think they just came out like last week. So
Started Michael.
that's way before a week ago. You know that.
About a week ago.
Anyways.
In the past.
But I think coincidentally, it's actually like a day after his video came out talking about it is when they released events. But still, you're a month out from the largest stage there is. And you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, World's Strongest Man actually did do really good and rectify a lot of that, being now they gave each athlete 4 family tickets. So their tickets are free now for their family. So that's cool. They're putting in a family area for the families to go. From the way I understood it, they won't have seats, but they'll have like an area that is only families are allowed to be in there. So, they walk around, they can watch the show and not have to worry about fighting the crowd and all that stuff. So that's cool. Because I couldn't imagine somehow being able to compete at the World's Strongest Man and my wife can't even get a seat to watch me do so.
Yeah. Well, and I was thinking, I was watching the thing about Eddie Hall, and one of, some of his earlier World's Strongest Man appearances, his family didn't travel. They stayed in England.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't afford to bring them.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was still working. What was he, a mechanic?
Yeah. I think he was a diesel mechanic.
Yeah. And he was having to take time off work and, all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
And that's what he was talking about is like, since now they have to pay for their families to be there, or what originally they were going to have to pay for their families to be there, it was like, obviously we're excluding like the people that usually place in the top 5 or so. Those people are usually pretty well covered. Yeah. But like the lower people that's their first time, or they've been there once or twice, they're obviously well above average strength wise, but they're not a Brian Shaw or a Mitch Hooper yet.
Yeah.
However, but now that their families can't come out there because they can't afford it, like you're talking about Eddie Hall, they've got all these extra added expenses, and then on top of that, they're missing out on work. So no, that's a week, and they have to be there a week early because they've got all the photo ops and all the stuff that's got to do it, and you're not allowed to stream or do really much there.
Yeah.
So, like, even for the guys that make their money off, social media stuff, now that's blocked off. You're not allowed to post a whole lot about like specific events. You can't post event winners or post events being played out because all that is on the TV deal.
Yeah.
Which I also think is stupid. Like in this day and age, why are we not live streaming that?
Yeah, I know.
Blows my mind. Like it's the biggest strongman show. I mean, now arguably I will say Shaw Classic is getting up there.
Historically, it's been the
Correct.
biggest strongman show. Yeah.
So why we're not live streaming that, I don't understand.
Yeah.
But I think it is cool that because Mitch Hooper said that he did bring up all these issues privately, and then they weren't getting fixed. Then he brought it out publicly. He didn't just straight up like throw gas on the fire out in front of everybody.
Yeah, all I saw about it was like I saw there was a slew of people reacting to Mitch Hooper saying something about World's Strongest Man, and I was like, I wonder what he said.
He'd first went on Chalet's podcast talked, and he had brought it up there, and then he made his own video talking about it, and that was pretty much it. I didn't think he brought up anything that I would consider to be controversial.
Well, no, and I mean, and the size showed that it is. I mean, I could understand if it was just a pro show somewhere. Yeah, they don't have the money to do that. But
It's World's Strongest Man.
World's Strongest Man's got the money for that.
Yeah, he did a video like after the fact. Like I was watching it today, where he was talking about, how people reacted to it, stuff like that, and then the fixes that were going into place. And I like that he even said, so now the money he was raising to pay for these people's families, well, now their families are getting in free. And he said, this is like every time I watch a video, Mitch Hooper will throw in like a comment that makes me realize this dude really is a genius. Because he goes, I kind of counted on this because, I figured they might do something. So I also factored in how I would use the money if they did pay it for it. And I was like, of course you did.
Oh, yeah.
So now he's going to divvy up that money and cut a check. He's going to split it 24 ways, which is all the athletes minus him. He's going to split it 24 ways and cut everybody a check to help pay for their expenses while they're there. I was like,
yeah. Because, I mean, the prize money outside of the top three is not.
And that was one of the other issues that he brought up, actually. I'd forgotten until you just mentioned that, is that the prize money for World's Strongest Man has not really changed.
Yeah.
Like you've got, the Shaw Classic, which is drastically increased year over year, which granted it's an up and coming event. So that, they keep accumulating more and more money. But even the Arnold Classic has started giving out more money, which is the same thing because it's also growing there too. Mm-hmm. But still, World's Strongest Man, I would think you'd be putting up some big bucks.
Yeah. You make a really good argument too. I thought the company can talk about overhead, but there's no show without the athletes.
Exactly. And that's why Chad Clark
really in a roundabout way is coming from the athletes.
That's why Chad Clark is a huge proponent of take care of your athletes first. If you're putting on a competition, athletes first, because that's where your show's at.
Yeah.
And also, like, if you're looking at what, who needs the most attention, athletes. Let's just face it. A lot of athletes are whiny. They're very particular about how they want things to go.
What?
Like if you've got stuff like at a Highland Games or a Scottish festival, pretty much all the vendors or all the other shows kind of take care of themselves. Like if you've got the band, you set them up with electricity, they're usually good to go. You got the dancers, you give them a stage, they're pretty much fine. Athletes get this huge field and then cry about the whole thing all day. That's not all athletes, but I'm just saying in general.
Yeah, but we have to share that field too with the show dogs and the bands.
That's only one show.
But how many times has an athlete had to stop what they were doing to let the dogs out?
Not this year.
Ooh, let the dogs out.
Like somebody's whining to me.
See what I'm saying? I think you just really helped me prove my point. So thanks for that, Mike.
Whatever.
So, but yeah, in a nutshell, that's the whole Mitch Hooper drama. And I don't really feel like it's drama because, like, it's been labeled as controversy, but I'm like, really? Like, he brought up a problem. It was fixed. He made a video saying it's fixed. I don't see the controversy, but.
Hey, Keela.
We're glad you're here. Caleb had nothing to talk about.
No.
I've been the one talking since we got here.
Oh, my bad, I wasn't paying attention.
So I'm trying to find the breakdown of the payout for World's Strongest Man, and it's just right now all it's showing is first place.
I think Mitch Hooper I think in his first video had said how much it was, but I don't remember.
Get his phone number.
I wish. If he'd give it to me, I'd ask him for it.
But World's Strongest Man, first place, $72,000. Which, okay, so $72,000 is a good chunk of money
for first place.
Yeah, for first place. But that's also, if you're winning World's Strongest Man, that is your only job. I mean,
oh yeah,
I mean,
even Brian Shaw even said that whenever he counts trophies, like whenever he looks back at his legacy, what he counts as wins, he said, I don't count the Arnold wins, I don't count any other win. I count how many World's Strongest Man titles do I have.
Yeah. And like that's your only job.
Yep.
So your only job, and that's if you win, you've made $72,000 that year.
Then compare that to the Shaw Classic,
which
was like I think 100 and something,
120, I think.
I want to say that's what I was thinking was 120 for first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know for sure it was 100,000. I just don't remember how much over 100.
But you know, I mean, and that's still, I mean, that's a big chunk of money. But
I
then,
think second place was actually still higher than first place at World's Strongest Man.
But when you break down into like their training, what they have to go, like the expenses that they have to compete in that sport, probably exceeds that 100,000.
Well, and that's why it was such a big deal whenever Mitch Hooper won the Rogue Invitational, won the Arnold Classic, and then won World's Strongest Man, because most of those people train for World's Strongest Man and do the other shows in the meantime. So that's why you'll see a lot of, like Tom Stoltman, I don't know that he's won the Arnold before.
Right.
But he doesn't train for the Arnold. He trains for World's Strongest Man, and then Arnold's, right in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
So he just does it.
Yeah.
And that's how most of them are.
Yeah, because you can't really you can't train to peak
No.
at each show.
Nope.
You've got to pick one.
Yep. And I was actually just listening to a podcast about that where if there was advice you'd give to someone getting into powerlifting and strongman, and that was pick your shows you're training for and don't overdo too many shows, because it's not like Highland Games. Highland Games, you're not peaking at each show.
Right.
In powerlifting or strongman or something similar, you're training for that day to be your strongest day.
Yep.
And you can't do that back to back, especially when you're at the pro level like these guys are.
Oh yeah, at that kind of output, you just
No way.
can't, you can't recover quick enough.
Nope.
Not with that attitude.
But when you think about, because I think of the top guys like Brian Shaw and Halfthor and those guys, they're wealthy, but they're not wealthy off of prize money.
No.
Wealthy off Game of Thrones.
That's
Game
also
of
true.
Thrones,
That's very true.
Brian Shaw has all kinds of stuff going.
Yep. And Halfthor's won like every Iceland Strongest Man since he started competing.
Those are dudes I know. I don't even follow it. Like they've turned themselves into a brand.
Yeah,
That's where money's at.
And I think we talked about it with Cody, that's why a lot of those guys, or why strongman's growing, is because a lot of these, to be a strongman, really you've got something going on like in your head. No, like real fully sane person just says, I'm going to lift up this giant rock. But
I feel like David and I are fully sane.
All right, poll in the comments. Do you think they're sane?
Please do not put your poll in the comments.
Thanks for proving my point. But
POLL.
But either way,
He pronounced it with 2 L's, did he not?
He pronounced it with an E.
Okay, I thought so. I was trying to back you up, but
I bet you were, pervert.
So,
anyways, the athletes have turned themselves into, like you said, a brand. Like they've really showed their, like just their character and how much of an entertainer they are outside of the games. Even though I wish some of them wouldn't. Eddie Hall.
But yeah, Eddie's made way more money since he's retired.
I agree.
Than he did ever competing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I can see, because World's Strongest Man, the organization's probably making a ton of money.
Oh, guarantee it.
They have to be.
Because they also do Giants Live.
Yeah, and look at the Arnold.
Yep.
The Arnold's making all kinds of money.
I would love to know their, like.
And these guys are professional athletes.
how much is a ticket to get into World's Strongest Man?
I actually don't know.
And then look at the average attendance.
What was the?
Apparently, you just have to be a foreign made.
So are you talking about to compete at the Anyways.
Foreign made.
Are you talking about competing at competing at World's Strongest Man, or just going to watch
Just
it?
going to watch
I'm
it.
gonna watch it. Just
'Cause
crowd
they're-
in
I mean, yeah.
attendance.
Just to loose that. Cause I know they're making money on vendor
Yeah, what was the
booths, all
weekend
that
pass
stuff,
for the
but-
Arnold? 150,
I think it was 135.
135 weekend pass.
Yeah, safe to say
The
they're
Arnold.
making money.
Oh yeah, and then all the vendors, how much they paid for their little 10x10 spots. Yeah, they're raking in all kinds of money. And
If I'd known it was going to take this long, I wouldn't have asked.
and these guys,
over it now.
and these guys are world class athletes. They're as athletic, or as they're the peak of their sport, just like any NFL player or NBA player.
Caleb got a charge for peaking in
And-
sports.
But I don't know.
It's looking like around $134, give or take.
And
So-
how many people average attend?
Oof.
but then it's in a different country. You got to buy your plane
$130
tickets.
bucks a pop.
Yeah.
It could cost you up to $2,000 just to go watch it.
Across America, countless people can't access the health care they desperately need. At Remote Area Medical, we believe everyone deserves quality care. That's why we offer free dental, vision, and medical services at mobile pop-up clinics nationwide. Just compassionate care from volunteer professionals. Your tax-deductible donation makes these clinics possible, changing lives and creating healthier communities. Join us today in bringing essential health care to those in need at ramusa.org.
I could have Googled that in 3 words. You did a lot of typing.
The average attendance is around 30,000 people.
Yeah, at $130 a pop.
An estimated 220 million viewers globally.
But just in ticket sales, they're making money.
This says in 2022, when they had it at Myrtle Beach, they had about 7,000 spectators per day.
That's just $4 million worth of tickets.
Yeah, no big.
Yeah. And that's ticket sales.
Yeah,
though.
that's just tickets.
Yeah, you're not counting as even something as small as merch and something as large as sponsorship deals.
Yeah, advertisements and shit.
So,
Vendors.
Yep.
How many vendors were at the Arnold?
4 million at the door.
How many thousand vendors were at the Arnold?
So many.
Oh, geez.
And what is it for? What was it? $2,000 for a 10x10?
I thought it was.
Somewhere around there.
What did Jason?
That's what I was thinking. It was
I
2,000.
think it was 2,000.
Yeah.
I think we'll just say that. Just
Yeah.
2,000. Let's see. How many vendors? Let's look it up real quick.
Because so I mean, bottom line is they're making enough money to pay the athletes to house their families.
Yeah. You could say easy there was 200-300 vendors there.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I'd say there were 1,000 vendors.
All it says is over 1,000 vendor booths.
Yeah.
So he was right. It was at least 300.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Man, nailed that one.
Michael's on fire.
But yeah, so I mean,
It was
so bottom line, they can afford it.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't want it to sound like I'm trash talking World's
what was
Strongest
that?
Man.
And it's not extravagant either.
No.
It's just it's let them travel with their families.
Yeah, I don't.
That was just the small booths. I mean, imagine what it would be for those big booths, like Rain, and how much they would have to pay.
Or Young Love. Or
Yeah.
Young LA.
Young
Shoot, far, dude. They took up like 10 booth spots by themselves.
Yeah, they took a whole end
I
of the
bet
arena.
So did you.
Whoa.
Easy now.
He gave a whole end.
No. Was that when he was in Corbin?
I don't know. Probably. That place will give you
I
pink eye.
don't say that word no more.
In?
No, that racial slur he sent in the chat. That's the one.
Oh.
Yeah,
We told you to stop saying that.
Yeah.
I quit saying it.
Then he switched to another. I thought was worse.
He did. He called me at one time. So, anyways, yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm slamming World's Strongest Man, but
Kind of sounds like you are.
given that they rectified the situation,
Yeah.
makes me feel like they were
He's
just being
almost said
cheap.
rectum twice in this episode.
It makes me think of on Christmas Vacation, like he drags his boss in there and they tell him, he goes, "All right, here's your bonus."
Yeah.
That's what it made me think of. I was like, so you tried to be cheap.
I was just going to keep it until you asked.
That's what it seems like. Yeah.
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 But and it's funny how much attention that got.
Yeah. And like the videos weren't even very far apart.
Yeah.
Like it went, I think he made that video last week.
Yeah.
And then he put his one talking about it being fixed and stuff out like yesterday, day before. So it was within a week, it all got fixed.
Yeah. I think the next thing they should do is pay the athletes more outside of the top 3.
No, I do agree with that. I think if you split up I know the payouts are going to be a little less. Really, it doesn't have to be. You just fork up more prize money, which sounds easier, but as we just discovered, they're making Skrilla. So, but
because I was thinking about Highland Games, pro Highland Games. Of course, Matt Vincent was talking about it a lot. He's like, it's hard to make money being a Highland Game pro.
right.
You have to really pick which games that you go to.
And you got to be invited.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, but you
Yeah.
have to be choosy, but the ones that you're invited to, because
Yep.
you got to pick the ones that pay the most and
Yep.
the ones that pay your travel and whatever. And then still, you're not really making much money.
You see when he went to Scotland and like their season's like 3 months, and every weekend there's a game.
Yeah.
And I think he went over there and made $40,000.
Yeah, but I mean, you're throwing every week,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and and he had to take off work to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, so like, but that's a different level of performance, though. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, nobody is just a pure Highland Games athlete.
Can't be.
But to win World's Strongest Man, win the Arnold, whatever, you've got to just do that.
See, and my thing is, while I think they need to put up more money, along with all of that, is also, so they've only ever had one real show be an actual competition for them,
Mm-hmm.
and that was IFSA Worlds. Well, I mean, that's long since gone, and since then, everyone has thought, okay, this is the best that we can be. This is the best that we've got, and they've never thought twice about it because it's higher than everywhere else. However, now, as we've said, you've got the Arnold coming up in prize money and popularity. Then on top of that, you've got the Shaw Classic, which, in my opinion, if you go to World's Strongest Man, the things you look for are obviously the world's strongest people, but you're also looking to see some crazy events like the fridge carry,
Yeah.
or like the Flintstone press. Like,
You're looking for the spectacle of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
well, Shaw Classic's doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a wheelbarrow race, but with a
It's like a combine machine or something. Yeah.
So I mean, so I'm just saying, and they did the whole big squat contraption. So I think even though Shaw Classic is a new event or a new show, it's putting up more prize money. It's making a great show.
Yep.
It's got the attention of all the athletes, and it's ran by an athlete.
Yeah.
If you're ever going to start putting out some stuff, I think now would be the time.
Yeah. I mean, surely they're thinking we might lose our top spot.
Yeah, that's what I would be thinking. Because now, like, no one had anything to complain about after the Shaw Classic. Not a one.
Yep.
And if they did, it was some stupid thing that was not even a complaint. Not that a lot of people are complaining about World's Strongest Man, but if you start to compare the two.
If I'm an athlete and I can only go to one,
Exactly.
I'm going to the Shaw Classic.
And that's what's going to start happening.
Yeah.
It's like we said, those guys that are going to fall into the not top 5 that aren't making a lot of money. Now, like you said, they've got to pick which ones they're going to because, okay, even if I place 10th at the Shaw Classic, I'm making $5,000.
Yeah.
I placed 10th at the World's Strongest Man. I'm losing money.
I'm in the hole. Yeah.
So, because from what I remember, everybody made money at the Classic or Shaw Classic.
Yep.
So, if like you come in dead last, you made money.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't much. It might not have been $5,000. It may have been $1,000. But either way, you're pretty much. And you also got paid to be there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure their airfare was paid.
At least it made your trip worthwhile.
Exactly.
You
You got to compete on a big stage, took last place. So what?
Yeah.
And got $1,000. That seems like a no-brainer. So to me, if I was World's Strongest Man, I believe I would start figuring something out.
Yeah. And unless you were just like Eddie Hall, whose only goal was to win World's Strongest Man.
Yep.
To me, of course, I don't have that goal.
Mm-hmm.
If I was a strength athlete, I'd want to go where the money was.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And
That's like even Dan McKim said the same thing that you were talking about. It was like he had to make the deal with his wife that he would only compete at certain Highland Games because he would have to figure out how much money he could make to offset his time off work.
Yeah.
And so that's how he made the deal with his wife. He'd go pro, and he's like, and then I'll compete at this one and win this one, and that will pay for this area. And then that means I can also go over. And that's how he would play it out. It was pretty funny.
He's got a pretty sweet deal with Little Debbie.
Man, like that dude has somehow made a sweet deal just altogether.
Yeah.
I really need to reach out to him. He needs to be on the podcast.
David, you need to check out Dan McKim.
I'll Google him.
He's a ex Highland Games pro. And all he does now is like silly YouTube videos and stuff. And he advertises for Little Debbie,
Hell yeah.
Like somehow he got his love of Little Debbie cakes into a paid sponsorship.
Yep. Like
Oh,
his
good frozen Swiss roll.
big events every year are like Squattober and Deadcember. That's
Yeah.
squat every day of October and then deadlift every day of December.
While eating Debbie cakes.
Yep.
I mean, he's got it figured out.
Sounds like it to me.
But speaking of goals, thanks for that segue, Holland.
Yeah.
Is another person that I'd seen put out a video this week that I thought was pretty interesting was Chris Bumstead, which some have said I look like him. I'll put up the picture I'm talking about right here. Any who's or what's her.
When you say that, do you ever do that?
Every time. That shows you don't watch it.
Yeah,
Don't let him lie to you.
I don't watch the video.
Yeah, almost every time I put it, I do
Really?
exactly that. Yeah.
I was wondering. I meant to ask my mom.
I watched him, and he misses a few of them.
I do not. I know I don't because if I missed it, I cut out where I said put something here.
Well played. Or
Any-
you have the editor.
He's got
do
a good
that.
deal with the
Yeah, I have the editor. That's why I pay him so much money to do that.
Yeah.
Pretty much they have all the same problems we have here, but like amplified because it's a small island and they're in the European Union. So it's just like doubled down.
Oh yeah.
Like they've got all these traffic expenses, like plates like we do, and insurance and taxes and all that crap. It's like expensive just to upkeep owning a car with the government. And he said there's like people in debt and like have committed suicide over it because it's the most successful branch of their government. He said it's a racketeer or a bunch of racketeers. Like they will go and hound you for money and put you in debt. But every immigrant exempt from all those expenses. Yeah, he's like Irish people can't afford to have families. They're subsidizing immigrants to have families. Like it's all like crazy shit.
Sounds like we need to move there.
Vote for Connor.
I don't know because if he's going to make
We're
that
all for number
fair,
12.
Yeah, I just want to be an immigrant there.
I was about to say it sounds like like Holland said, I just want to be an immigrant. I don't want him to fix that.
I want to go save Ireland, dude.
I want to save our. I was just thinking you're the Irishman from Braveheart.
Yeah. It's my island.
It's mine.
I talked to the Almighty. He says it's okay.
Dude,
Do I get to kill Englishmen?
he's low key my favorite character in that movie.
Do I get to kill the English? The Almighty says it's all right then.
This can't be
Almighty
William
says I'm
Wallace.
good.
I'm
Pretty much
prettier than this man.
Man, that needs to be a podcast event where we just commentate
That'd
and
be
watch
so
Braveheart.
Hey, I'm down.
Dude, that's my favorite part. I don't even know why it's such a small part. What do we do? Burn it.
Barnett. Yeah.
Almighty says I'm pretty good, but you're fucked.
Mine is. He's like, well, we didn't get all dressed up for nothing.
Yep.
Where are you going? I'm
Oh,
going
I
to
see
the
your
fight.
brother's been talking about me again.
Here
Or
are my
the,
terms. He will have my surrender when King William puts his head up his own or between his legs and kisses his own arse.
Whenever
Or Edward, King Edward.
he has
What
the,
was
the
I believe that's a little less cordial than he's used to.
he has the stone lifting competition.
You'll
Pegs him
move.
right in the forehead. And
I should remember the looks. Like,
I should have remembered the rocks. Aye, you should have.
It's like, you're going to move. No, I won't.
You'll move. No, I won't.
they pull the arrow from his dad. He starts beating the shit out of
I
everybody.
like my favorite. He goes, "Awake in the morning, boys."
He says,
Actually,
here,
he's
I'm
talking
going to
about
hold
a
him.
story.
He goes, here, I'm going to hold him.
He's
He's
fantastic.
telling stories. He goes, oh, your mom's been talking about me again, huh?
That's such a great movie.
You know how they think that Longshank's son actually died?
Hmm.
So there was rumors that he was a little light in the old royal loafers. And, but he
did they
so
have loafers then?
his queen went back to France with their son and was like, this guy's not fit to be king. My son should be king of England. So then they go back and usurp the throne, put him in prison, and he's there for a couple of years, I think. And then the clergy quietly put out, oh, yeah, he died. But the rumor is they sodomized him with a hot poker. So there was no wounds.
Yeesh.
What do you mean
for
no
the-
wounds?
For the royal funeral.
No
Yeah.
visible outside
Yeah.
wounds.
Fun stuff.
Anywho,
So
Longshanks actually requested that He called himself the Hammer of the Scots. He requested he's in like a mausoleum instead of in the ground.
Yeah.
And he requested that anytime England goes to war with Scotland, they should exhume him and put him on a cart and roll him in front of the Scots to scare him.
Freaked me out a little.
Yeah, yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. It might work.
Across America, countless people can't access the health care they desperately need. At Remote Area Medical, we believe everyone deserves quality care. That's why we offer free dental, vision, and medical services at mobile pop-up clinics nationwide. Just compassionate care from volunteer professionals. Your tax-deductible donation makes these clinics possible, changing lives and creating healthier communities. Join us today in bringing essential health care to those in need at ramusa.org.
Yeah, so hot pop poker up the old.
I think I'd rather be pulled apart.
It smells like terrible pork rinds. I think. What's
They had the William Wallace treatment.
They had the guy from Blazing Saddles do it. I couldn't work him in until next Tuesday.
You think they told him ahead of time, or like they just walked in with the hot poker?
I'm going to get you.
He was just yeah. But like,
Hey, wait.
look
There's
over
not
there.
There's not a fire in here. Why is it already hot? Hold on.
Yeah. Turn your head and cough. I like this game. Hey, who started a fire?
So what were we talking about?
Oh yeah. So I saw a video where Chris Bumstead.
Oh yeah. How do we? Oh, whatever.
Dave.
No, yeah.
It
The
said
answer is always Dave.
He said bum, so we brought it back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of bums,
Anyway, so Chris Bumstead had made a video. It's not a long video, but it was too much to talk about. But the beginning part I thought was interesting, and that was good Lord in heaven, dude.
Get it together, dude. We try to talk about bums.
There has been a hair like
you keep
this.
trailing off.
Anyways,
Like what?
like
that.
That's, okay.
I don't know.
Never mind. I don't know why I just now noticed you're still wearing that headband. I had not noticed until right now.
I almost nodded off here a while ago because that knot makes a pretty good pillow. It's a nice tie. It's a comfy tie.
That's where Batman has it.
Anyways,
Batman has it because he's a freaking sicko.
but anyways,
Those eyes
Chris Bumstead.
Those are the eyes of a sicko, bro.
right there. So Chris Bumstead in his video.
Yeah, he brought up a good point, which it was weird hearing it come from Chris Bumstead because we all know him as the 6-time Mr. Olympia. 7 times.
Sounds right to me.
Bunch, yeah.
Bunch. Too many to count on one hand, that's for sure. But either way, and so he talked about like, have you ever gotten into like a lull and like whether it be training or just like in general, where like you go from really motivated, not missing a gym workout, not missing any or not skipping a diet plan, everything is 100% to then drop off to now you're not going to the gym as often. You go when I can, and like you just kind of repeat this phase back and forth.
Yeah.
And I was like, for one, that's weird coming from the guy that looks shredded year round and has won the Olympia this many times.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, I thought it was a good point that I know I do that a lot. Is I'll go through like the super motivated time where I'm in the gym every time I'm supposed to be. My diet is 100% on point, and my sleep's on point. Like I make sure everything is dialed in. But then that'll last for a number of days or weeks, and then it's okay. I don't have time to go to the gym today, so I'll go tomorrow, or some form of that. Or I can't get the food I'm supposed to eat right now, but I could also just get Burger King, or I'm in a rush, so I'll just go through a drive-through.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So he had kind of talked about how he did that in ways that he fixes that kind of thing. But my thing was like, what do y'all do? Because I think everybody goes through that to some degree, whether it be gym related, not gym related. However, because he'd also talked about how whenever that portion of his life starts to fall off, like the rest of everything, it kind of domino effects down.
Yeah.
So my question is, like, has that happened? And then how do you fix it? Or do you just kind of hang out there?
I've been there for about 30 years. It's pretty cool.
Actually, I know you haven't, Dave. I can visibly see whenever you are dialed in and then off track.
I'm never on track, dog.
Disagree. I've seen it.
This train doesn't roll on tracks.
Yeah.
I mean, your track is a lot different than everybody else's track, but either way, it's not a trick question.
When your neighbors go to diddler.com, this address pings for Batman living here, dude. 100%.
Look at those eyes.
Yeah, I can't quit. I have for the last few minutes. They've sucked me back in.
Ew.
But no, that happens a lot. I will find a specific, like a contest that I'll train for.
Yeah.
And I can get
Spelling bee mostly.
I can get really, yeah, dude. I own some spelling bees. But like I can get really dialed in, and I can stay on track until that contest, and then as far as like just day to day, I mean, I don't know, because it's hard to be consistent without a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I have a specific goal that I'm currently working on, it's hard to be that, that constant about it, because then, stuff comes up, and it's easy to be like, I'll skip the gym and do this instead of canceling plans to do workouts, which is, if I'm working towards if I have a specific goal, I will, like I almost kind of treat it like a job.
Yep.
Like I have to be there. My schedule, I rearrange the schedule to do that. And then the other stuff becomes the stuff that I put off.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's hard to be consistent without that though.
Yeah. And I agree with that and the reason that I wanted to talk about it today is because it really, for one, I think it's a good topic that not a lot of people talk about. That's why I liked that he put out a video about it. That was one thing he had said, was that's how he starts to try to get everything back on track, is to set a goal. And so that started making me think, is there a difference between setting a goal just like to set one, or is there a difference between setting a goal that you are legitimately wanting to achieve?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, my point on that is, me and you have set this bodybuilding goal.
Right.
I do not care about it whatsoever.
Right. Other than the fact that.
Other than I don't want to lose.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this isn't something you've looked forward to,
No.
that you've ever
Right.
cared about. Yeah.
And it's been no surprise to anybody, especially myself, that I've not been motivated, I've not been positive, and I've not been happy about it.
Yeah.
So, in
You
doing
haven't been a negative Nancy about it.
exactly. So,
Real wet party blanket.
so
Old turd in the punch bowl.
agreed.
A
So,
real Susie sad sack. I don't have any more, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
so
A
anyway,
real Debbie Downer.
thanks. So, anyways, my point is, would you say there is a point of, I have a goal, it's not a very exciting goal, or do you actually set a goal that you want to achieve?
Right. Yeah, because just arbitrarily picking a goal, I don't think matters. Like setting, I don't think a goal of attendance counts. Like, I'm going to go to the gym 3 days a week.
Agreed.
Every week.
Mhm.
So what?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, it doesn't mean you're achieving anything. You're
Yeah.
there.
right.
But,
You can't track progress.
Mhm.
You can't say, well, I'm closer to this because it's just an ongoing goal.
Yep.
Like, if you were like, I'm going to bench 350, you can hit it hard until you bench 350.
Mhm.
If that's something that you're wanting to bench, like, that's I think it needs to be attainable.
Mhm.
And something that you can track your progress towards, just to pick a goal, just to have one, I don't really think matters, because you're not that invested in it,
And I agree. And I think you should have, in my opinion, I think you should always have at least two goals. I think you should have an attainable shorter term goal. I don't mean short term to be like, I can achieve this by next week, short term. I mean like bench press 350.
Yeah.
Depending on where you're at in training, you can hit that at different time frames. That can be a couple months, that can be whatever. But I also think that shouldn't be your big goal. That should be like your checkpoint goal, if you will. I think you need to have that big goal that you like. and make it somewhat unattainable, because I feel like a lot of times, like what Mitch Hooper said in that one video, that people underestimate their max deadlift. I think you will underestimate your goal, because now you're looking at what I can do right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not everybody does. I mean, there's people, that start from Chris Bumstead or Mitch Hooper that start from a marathon runner to world's strongest man in 4 shows.
Yeah.
Or, there's those outliers. But I think a lot of people are like, you set a goal of, like you said, I want to go to the gym every day for this many days. Mm-hmm. It's a loose goal. Yeah. But if you pick a goal like, okay, so I want to bench press 350. I think it's a good checkpoint goal. But then later, like, okay, I want to win X competition.
Right.
Not compete at. I want to win that one.
Yeah. And I think competitions are good in that.
And I agree. Yeah.
And not that everybody needs to compete, but I think it's a good goal. Mm-hmm. And it's a good motivator too, because you have that set date. It's there.
Yep.
No matter what you're doing, it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
It's still waiting for you.
Exactly.
And it's going to be there whether you're ready or not. So you better get ready.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a stronger motivator.
Yep. Yeah. Put you on that time crunch, but because I like having that slightly unattainable goal, because, okay, if you shoot for, I want to win, let's pick something not super pro. Let's say I want to win OSG.
The Olympics. Oh, it's way off.
I say I want to win OSG.
Yeah.
If you go into that training full force, like I'm going to win OSG, and you show up in what? You take third?
Yeah.
What's that? Optometry strongest guy?
Yes.
How'd you know?
George just lucky, I guess.
But like you laying third at OSG.
Strongman games.
Yeah.
So it's close.
Like, you laying third in OSG, that's insane.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why I like for your goal to be slightly unattainable. I'm not saying pick something crazy. First year training, say, I'm going to win the Olympia this year.
Right.
Okay, now we're getting a little too far.
Yeah.
But that's why I think you should have 2 goals. I think you should have that middle one that's going to be, okay, I can hit this in 6 months or so, and then have that big goal that like might take you a few years to be like, okay, I want to win that one.
Yeah.
Because now that means I'm going to compete at that one until I win it.
Yeah, or, like, I want to bench 350. Well, once you hit 350, up your goal.
That's also true. I don't think your goal should, like, once you hit it, that's it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you see that, especially in January. Everybody's like, all right, I want to go do this in the gym. Then you do this in the gym. You're like, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah. Or maybe not even, like, I mean, we changed from powerlifting strongman workouts to bodybuilding workouts, which you didn't really want to. But, I mean, you can pick, say, your goals don't always have, like, your gym goals don't always have to be strength related.
Right.
They could be fitness related. You should be like, well, once you've hit 350, maybe now you want to hit 300 for 10.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe a squat goal or a deadlift goal, or something that along those lines. But some people don't care how much they bench.
I do not care how much I bench.
You care.
Only because y'all won't leave me alone about it.
You wish you benched more.
Okay, no matter how much you hate something, anything in life, nothing in you is like, I don't wish I did that better. That's like, I do not want to run a 5K. Do I wish I could run a 5K really fast? Yeah. Am I going to try to do it? No. But
all right.
Disagree. I have zero desire to do a lot of things. Well, like in general, I have no desire to run a 5K really fast
or really slow.
Yeah.
But would you say that like some part of you doesn't think if I could run a 5K really fast, that'd be kind of cool? Not like you're ever going to even try to do it.
No.
I think again, you're proving my point that your track is way different than everybody else's.
I can't make myself be interested in anything for sure.
I know that's true because no one can make you interested in anything.
Conor McGregor can get me interested in Irish politics.
I think Conor McGregor could convince you to do anything.
Not run a 5K.
Yeah.
Would you run a 5K for
no
to free Ireland?
And that's where we draw the line.
I'm running 2 fight someone to free Ireland.
Sure.
That's different. I'm in.
Well,
Like the whole,
that went really easy to
if
convince
it's
you to
the
do that.
actual run from like marathon to Sparta, yeah. But like just to run a marathon, it's silly.
Fair enough. Do you have any takes on the goal conversation?
I wouldn't listen.
I knew you weren't. I don't know why that struck me as so funny.
I don't know why. I thought that was going to be a different answer. I don't know. I was trying to include Dave in the conversation.
I'm also pretty different on that one. Like I gotta like organically come across some kind of goal. So I'm just like, what do I want to do? It's like nothing.
Yeah.
Like it has to organically cross me and be like, oh, I want to do that. You know what I mean? I can't like invent a goal. I'm incapable.
Well, you know, and then also you get like, you know, the difference between, you know, motivation and determination. You know,
Exactly.
because like it's easy to get motivated for something.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to keep that motivation.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And you know, that's when I think you have to make the decision ahead of time that even after I'm not excited about this anymore, I'm still gonna work towards whatever the goal is, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like, again, to talk about bodybuilding, that's where I'm at. It's like at the
The
begin-
motivation went away quick for you.
Oh, dude, like when it started, I was all like, dude, I'm going to be shredded.
Yeah.
Go ahead and call me Hugh Jackman. Like, I was like, dude, this is going to be it. Then, like, to be fair, Sam warned me ahead of time.
Yeah.
He said, especially power lifters, but just in general, people think they have more muscle mass than they do. So know that. And I was like, dude, I've been lifting heavy for years. Like underneath this, I'm jacked. Incorrect. But either way, and so like as
Actually had more than I thought.
the also true. Well, you know, as the weights came down, you know, like motivation stopped. Like whenever weights that weren't heavy are becoming heavy, granted, we're also doing them for a lot of reps now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so motivation stopped. And like at this point, the only thing pushing me forward other than spite is just the fact that I set this goal and I'm too stubborn to not finish it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would definitely agree.
I'd
There's
say
a-
Holland's your motivator.
I've said that since day one. I tell
T-Rex song, The Motivator.
anybody that I talk to about this, I will tell them up front that if I was in this just to compete at like Mr. Knox, I would have already quit. The only reason that I am still doing this is because if I lose to Holland, it will only be because he's better than me. That is it. It will not be because I cheated my diet. It will not be because I quit early. It is because Holland just beat me, period.
What's keeping me motivated is how miserable Caleb is.
I will say,
Like, whatever, like when I am sick of oats. Every morning,
see, I'm going to be honest,
All
the
of
food,
Misery is your company.
I'm tired of oats. And I'm like, you know what? Caleb's feeling
hates
worse
this
than I am.
but that's the weird thing about it. Like food-wise, I'm really okay. Like, what I'm eating, I'm not sick of what I'm eating.
Yeah,
I love oatmeal.
I'm sick of oatmeal. I'm sick of it.
The berries, I could live with them or without them. The chicken and rice, steak and rice, dude, I'm honestly golden. Like, that's pretty much what I eat most of the time anyway.
I don't mind the chicken and steak, but I am sick of the rice.
It don't bother me either.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, that's what's killing me the most and why I'm miserable is not the food. Like, obviously, yeah, I really want a pizza or I really want chocolate cake. However, the mental aspect of this whole thing has kept me miserable the whole time.
No, you could have had a piece of chocolate cake.
He said that, but also he didn't say that, so it don't matter. I have still managed to stay clear of chocolate cake.
Yeah.
But either way, like the food part, like I don't know. Like I think it's mostly because I mentally prepared for that suck. Like I already knew. Anyways, I'm mentally prepared
Please say it again.
for that to not be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I already knew going into it, okay, I'm going to eat chicken and rice. My carbs are going to come down at some point. Like at some point, I'm just going to be hungry, and that's going to be it. So I made peace with that early.
Yeah.
However, I've already had a lot of body dysmorphia issues, and this is only intensified by like a million. So to fix or to rectify that situation, Dave,
I'm over that word. It's not funny anymore. You said it like 9 times.
3 times. But in order for me to get more excited
Three
about
times because he's giving the editor hand jobs.
For me to get more excited about the training, I have started to do more grip work.
Yeah.
There it is. Because we have the inch dumbbell lift coming up, and I plan on pulling close to 200 pounds on the inch dumbbell.
Yeah.
That's a lot to ask in 2 months, but this goes back to the picking a goal that is borderline unattainable. Is I'm going to aim for a 200-pound inch dumbbell lift.
Yeah.
If I land over 172, I'm pretty much golden.
Yeah.
But either way, so that's helped motivate me a little bit. So it's brought me out of my funk a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, that's my only real goal at this point is to just make it to June 7th. If I win or lose at this point, I really don't care. just make it.
Just to end.
Just make it there. Like both physically and mentally in one piece would be cool. And then June 28th, lift the inch dumbbell.
Yeah. I'm just like, I didn't realize how sick I would get of oatmeal. Because I'm not an oatmeal eater. I didn't eat oatmeal before, you know. And I was like, man, whatever, oatmeal, that's fine. A couple of months of oatmeal every morning.
I will say that, yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
See, I love oatmeal. It's always a food that like I love to eat, but I just don't eat. Because before this, honestly, I didn't really eat breakfast at all. Like I wouldn't eat breakfast until I've been at work at least
seen those,
2 hours.
Overnight oat
I hate them.
recipes?
Can't stand them.
I haven't had one yet.
I hate everything about them. Excuse me.
I was like, they're getting to you. You're like,
Dude, they're
Talking about
can't even talk about
No,
them.
they're just not. I just didn't like them.
But like I'm a breakfast eater, but my breakfast would consist of eggs, bacon, you know, not oats,
Yeah.
you know.
It's like, I love breakfast food, but I would always just not eat breakfast.
And then like rice is something that I ate when I would get hibachi or something. And that was the only time I would ever eat rice, you know.
I will say,
I'm not a big rice eater. And man, I got sick of rice quickly.
I don't know. Rice has always been just like that food that doesn't really bother me. Like I can live with or without it.
Yeah.
I don't get sick of it, but I can't really say that I love it. All of it. I don't see color. It's 2025.
Sam knew. I think Sam knew ahead of time.
Don't play the bullshit. Brown rice or white rice?
Literally both of them.
Yeah.
We have both.
Yeah, we
One's
can.
better for you. The white rice is bad for you. Brown rice is way healthier.
So the question, what he's saying is white rice is bad for you, brown rice is better for you. The text that we got from Sam was, and I quote, "Do not raw dog your rice." He said, "Eat yellow rice, eat whatever rice."
But yeah, we'll see. And that's like, that's like Sam gave us, the chicken that we're eating. Started off the diet with 6 ounces of chicken thigh.
I think I started at 7, but I think it was before we were we were both on the same one.
Well, and see, that's what we were asking him. We're like, does it matter if we got chicken breast? He's like, chicken breast would be ideal, but he goes, guys, after months of chicken breast, you're gonna, and he picked a diet that he figured that we would both still follow. So we could have gotten we could get cleaner with our diet and go white rice, chicken breast, but we're doing chicken thigh and just whatever rice.
Yep. Which I think I've said it. I don't know if I've said it on podcast. I know we've talked about it a lot of times. I don't know if because me and Sam have known each other for a while, but we've not been talked a whole lot.
Lovers.
Anyways, but I don't think I could have picked a better coach because him just giving me this is the food you're eating, period.
Right.
Because if you gave me Okay, you've got 2,000 calories for today. I don't care what you eat, but you've got to eat
If you
under
just
this.
give me macros, I'll. Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, I can fit a fudge round in my macros. Like, I will skip some
I
food.
don't know what that's code for, but I do not want to find out.
My thing is, I just wouldn't. I would not. And I know myself. I would not take the time to calculate all my
Also
macros.
that.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't do it. I would have
Yep.
been like, yeah, this is. I'm in the ballpark.
You were talking about
Yeah,
goals
I would do that.
earlier. I tried that, and it lasted for about 2 weeks, and then it just started falling off, and I just couldn't keep doing it.
What, tracking macros?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never liked tracking macros. Even whenever I did try to track, I've only ever calculated calories.
Have you ever tracked a macro?
I mean, I've got one of those scales that measures everything out by the calorie and the everything.
We've lost Dave completely.
Oh, are you talking to me?
I asked you if
heard
you've
you.
ever
I just
tracked a
heard you talking to
macro.
me. No.
You heard him, but
I didn't know he was talking to me.
he said, Dave.
No, I just heard, have you ever tracked a macro? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Dave.
No, Dave has not ever tracked a macro.
Yeah, they're hard to track,
They're elusive, I hear.
especially in the snow.
Oh, they're not elusive. You can find them pretty easy.
Yeah. They're just hard to track.
Or they're endangered.
Say that.
They are in this room.
But I know what I've done before whenever I was counting calories was if I went through the drive-thru, you know how they'll put like the calories next to it? I'd be like,
I'm unstoppable now, boys.
Oh, son.
Oh, let me get the hot step in the
dude,
pieces.
you ever seen Chainsaw Man?
Hot step.
I was thinking about
I
old,
just heard
Got
some
lifted
Ani
higher from the
Kamosi.
camera, Dave.
Wild Wild West. I learned that from a Chinaman.
Dave, put it up by Batman.
Dude,
Ew.
I ain't messing with Batman. David Carradine, rip.
So
If you can beat Holland, I'll do the program you finish.
Ew.
If you could beat Holland.
you'll do the bodybuilding program.
That's how confident I am in Holland.
So if
What if
Caleb,
I'm also confident in Holland?
so if Caleb wins, you're going to do a 16-week bodybuilding
Yes.
program.
Let me win. Wow. Holland's going to look way better than me, but then show up and just forget how to pose.
Holland, I'm counting on you.
All right, but it's got to be 16 weeks. Heard it here, everybody.
Man,
Holland's got it, though, in the bag.
I mean, I don't disagree, but I mean, like, why would I not take that deal? I think that's a good place to end it, everybody.
we have a quote.
I was going to say, I think we need one from the Pope. I have one, but I feel like the Pope should have a better one.
Cash Money Records taking over for the 99s and the 2000s. You're real late with the music. Never mind. The Pope says, we miss you, Alan.
Fits in my